Hello everyone, welcome to my second video for Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. I wanted to make a follow-on from my previous video, which was the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. So I'm going to assume that you've been playing the game for a little while and you have a bit of a grasp on just what you're doing and how the game works. But the primary aim for this one is to bring people up to speed on things like which medals are the best, or just how to understand how to determine which medals work in certain situations, and also keyblades and their multipliers and things like that. So things that beginners might not understand to begin with, and things that might be a little bit not over your head. You might think that you won't get it, or it's just too difficult, or you ain't got the time. But I'm telling you, it's really not. It's quite easy, and I'm just going to hopefully go through a few of those things today, and also things like how many medals you should keep, which ones you should get rid of, which ones are worth keeping, that sort of thing, and any other sort of beginner / intermediate tips that I've come across in the last sort of, I don't know, 6 months of playing or something. So let's get into it. So I don't really have a list of things that I'm going to go over, or a step-by-step sort of bullet pointed list or anything, but let's get into the medals list first of all. So here we have my top strength medals, and up here you've got the sort button, so that's really useful for deciding which order you're going to sort things in, so you can see medals easier. So often what will happen is you might finish a quest and you'll end up with a load of medals, and you'll kind of think, well, have I already got those? Excuse me. Have I already got those? Do I need to do anything with them? Shall I sell them? Shall I evolve them or combine them, or those sorts of questions? And often it's all kind of lost in this mess. So a really quick tip that I found is if you arrange it by special attack and press OK, you'll end up getting all the same medals next to each other. So let's see if we've got any duplicates. Here we go. So we've got these two KHUX medals. This one is only, what is it? We've got 3 orbs there, and it's a, sorry, ignore that for a second. So we've got 5 stars here, so it's a level 5 medal out of 6. And this one here, as you can see, this is a 6-star version. So if I had 2 level 5s or whatever levels they are, it doesn't matter. They will be next to each other because it's the same medal, and that will make it really easy for you to decide whether you should evolve them or not, or just find them in your inventory. One thing I like to do when you get a new set of medals from a quest, or you've bought them or something, sort them by newest, and that'll give you a nice little list of the most recent medals there, and you can kind of see what you've got there, and how you can decide how you want to deal with them. So for example, I've got this Illustrated Cloud there. So if I thought, hold on a second, if I just got this now out of a battle or a banner or something, and I wanted to know if I've already got one, the first thing to look for is power up there, Illustrated Cloud, maybe the picture. So now, to see if I've got any more of the same medal, arrange it by special attack. These are all power medals at the top. So let's look for Cloud. We've got that one. That's not it. That's KH2 Cloud. Let's go down. We've got some evolved medals there. We've got another Cloud there. KH Cloud. Nope. So we're looking for the same. There we go. There he is. Illustrated Cloud. So as you can see there, there's only one. I don't have one next to him, so I'm safe in a sense that it's a unique medal. I don't have any others, and I don't have to worry about whether I want to sell it or not, because generally this is a good tip to follow. Don't sell any medals that you already have, that you don't have, sorry. Don't sell any medals that you don't have duplicates of. So you always want at least one of every medal, and there are reasons for that, and one of them is if you end up going into Proud mode, which you can access through the quest menu here. You click there, story, Proud, and you've got all these quests here, and they have some of them have requirements that you won't actually kind of really think about otherwise. And if you open this, it tells you here, look, special attacks only allowed for medals with 8,200 or higher strength. And that's not too hard, but there are some really awkward ones where I haven't come across one in a while. Let's see if I can find one. So only special attack dealing 2 or more hits allowed. So you might not have the medals that you need to do these quests, strong enough medals anyway, if you keep selling them. So don't sell them. Rule of thumb is generally to evolve them and combine them together to get the strongest version of that medal. So let me give you a quick example of that. So if I open, let's go back in here. So proud mode, let's look at one of the most recent ones. What's the next one to do? So these requirements here, let me back up a second. I think they're the same as the story mode, the regular story mode requirements. So I'm not too worried about those, but have a quick glance of that before you start a proud mode mission. It can save you some time. So if you click begin, special attacks allowed only for magic medals. Now, what that means is basically you've got 3 attributes. If you look over here, it shows you the little circle of life. So power is the red one, green speed, and blue's magic. So red's stronger than red does more damage against a green, and a green does more damage against the blue, and a blue does more damage against the red. So that's basically how it goes. So magic medals are blue ones. This is saying I can only do special attacks for blue medals. Now it's not really difficult to have a lot of those at this point. So what I generally do is if I don't have them in my Keyblade setup here, I'll just drag them, get rid of them, get rid of what I do have. Now this is a really powerful tool. For proud mode, this is pretty much essential. So we previously looked at this sort list. Let's look at filter. So we know that it said I needed only magic medals. If I click on that and I press OK, you'll notice that all of these are magic medals now. So it shows you really quickly what you have. So for example, some of the things that I've seen are a medal that you're only allowed to equip a medal that does 3 hits or less. So then you'll go down here, you'll click that, and you might click that because, you know, if you didn't click that, you'd be missing out any medals that do 2 hits or 3 hits. Although granted, there will be some 4-hit medals in there, so you just have to keep an eye out for that. But now every single medal here will deal at between 1 and 4 hits. So generally, as long as it doesn't say it deals 4 hits, then I am safe to put this into my Keyblade. If the requirement was, you can only equip medals with that do 1 to 3 hits. So that's the hits covered. You've got the gauges here, so if it says, for example, you can only use medals with special attacks of 1 gauge, you'd click that and you'd search for that. Here, skills, so that's a medal that's got an attack up skill. So for those of you that don't know, this thing down here is your skills section. So these, you add these to a medal using what they call Scrooge items. So this is another quick tip to leveling up. So if you have previously clicked cost, so if you want to filter by just medals that will give you skills, they're under EXP. You click on that, you scroll down, and here's all your Scrooge medals. So for example, this one will give paralysis. Go further down, this one will give attack boost all, and all you do is you drag it into there and it'll say, okay, I'm going to give this medal up here your attack boost all, and it says here there's a 100% success rate. Now that's a horrible skill for my this medal up here, because I've got attack boost 5 max, which is probably one of the strongest attack boosts available at this time, unless you're playing Japan, which has, I think, attack boost 6 by now. So just quickly, that's a really quick way of searching for medals that will give you skills. So you've got boost medals here as well. So if you want to ever boost up your medal, so you've got 1,000 attack, an extra 1,000 defense, and reduce your cost by 20, this is how you do it. So you've got Chip and Dale medals here. These will increase your strength by 5, and the larger one will increase it by 150. So generally, rule of thumb is I drag 4 of these in, sorry, not 4, 6 of these in, and then 4 of these in, because they give 25, and that adds up to 1,000, and it saves you wasting any. And these 3 here, the Dale medals, they are the defense equivalent. And then also you've got your magic mirrors and your Fantasia Mickey B's here. So I'm not sure if I went over it in my previous videos, so I'll quickly run over this. These magic mirrors are used to get your special attack bonus here up by 1%. Doesn't make a huge difference, but if you're ever in the situation where you kind of like, this is a tier 7 medal, so if you're in a situation where you've got, I don't know, 192% and you want to get to the 200% bonus for a damage multiplier, you would just add 8 magic mirrors, and that would be it. So the Fantasia Mickey B's, what these do is they basically increase the effectiveness of your special attack. You see these yellow orbs? Once you get 6 of these full, you get this special attack bonus ability here, which increases your attack significantly. And for each yellow orb that you fill in, you get a slightly higher damage multiplier, generally speaking. Doesn't happen for every medal, but it does for some, for quite a lot actually. And I appreciate I'm going over this really fast, so if you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments. But that sort of covers leveling up medals and searching through your filter list. Something I found that's really useful, and you can only get at it from here. So say for example I've got, let's find 2 medals that are the same. Okay. So if I want to level this medal up, and you see this medal's already got 5 orbs, 5 yellow orbs, and 145% bonus. It's a tier 6 medal, which means it can only go up to 180. So that would still mean I'd need to use a lot of magic mirrors. I'd need to use, what's that, 55, 6, 7, 8. So 35 magic mirrors to get that up to 180%. Now, instead of doing that, if I've got a spare one of these medals, which I have here, I've got 2, I can do this. So if you click sort, undo, okay, you'll always get the same medal if you've got a duplicate at the top here. So that's a really quick shortcut to leveling up your medals if you want to combine a medal with the same one of the same kind. So what this will do is if I drag it in here, if you look up here, it says it will give me ignore the trait for a second. It'll give me a percentage bonus of between 100 and 180% if I was to level up. So I'm not going to do this. Well, let's try it. There we go. Okay. So I don't really want to do this because I like to have a couple of these medals because, well, I'll explain in a second. So that says there, attempt to raise special attack bonus from 145%. So the outcome of this will never be lower than the current bonus, so it won't be lower than 145. So if I was to press OK here, I'd lose that medal with 0 orbs, and it will in effect combine it with my other medal. And hopefully I'll get a bonus 145 or more percentage, and in my experience generally it tends to be 145 again, and it's a real pain because I think it's quite cheap for the game to work that way, but if you're lucky you'll get a fairly high percentage, and then you don't have to use as many magic mirrors to power it up. So I'm going to cancel this, and the reason I don't combine these, quite simple really. So this is where you look to see how effective a medal is. So generally speaking, your special attack, this little thing here shows that it hits everyone, hits every target in the fight, because it's got a little circular thing around the star, which is where the damage, the center of damage is. Then it says here the total damage is 8,000. So regardless of what I do for that special attack, the total damage will always be 8,000. There's no way of increasing that. So it's not a lot. And in addition to that, if you look at what it does, it restores 7 gauges, cures status ailments, and raises some stats. So that's not really used to attack. It's not supposed to be a medal to deal a lot of damage, but its ability here is quite useful. And there's no point having just one of these medals in some setups. In some setups you'd rather have the ability to have 2 of them, because then you can restore 14 gauges, as it says here, 7 times 2 medals. And if you really need that kind of gauge restore, then that's really helpful. So that's what we like to call a buffing medal, or a defensive medal, or however you want to refer to it. It's not designed for attacking. So that's how you determine that kind of medal, really. And I like to put skills on these medals that reflect a sort of defensive nature, something that's not about attacking. So no attack boosting medals. No attack boosting skills, such as attack boost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or any of that, because it's pointless. It's not going to improve my special attack there to any significant amount. In this medal, it's actually not going to improve it at all. It's just going to be flat out 8,000 every time. So let's go to some of the main medals that I use in my setup, just to give you guys an idea. So this is probably one of my most prominent setups here. So Kyrie EX. So if you've been around a couple months and you've had a look on the forums and Reddit and stuff, you know that she's pretty much one of the daddies or the mummies of buffing in this game. Probably one of the strongest medals, and if you had this medal, you can pretty much walk through a lot of the game with your eyes closed. Apart from some of the proud mode missions and some of the harder content, but generally speaking, she's a very powerful medal. And this is why. So ignoring the damage multiplier here, because it's only 1.43, and that's not very much, because again, this medal isn't designed to deal a lot of damage. She can pack out quite a bit, but that sort of depends on how high this, how many orbs you have in here, and things like, this is a magic medal, did you go up against a power attribute enemy, and it'll deal more damage. But, and again, it hits everyone, so that's pretty useful, but it's not designed to deal a lot of damage compared to some of the other medals. If you look at the buffs here, if you've been keeping track, it says it raises upright attack by 2, strength by 2, regular strength by 7, power, speed and magic strength by 7 as well, and then it decreases the enemy's power, speed and magic by 6 and lowers their defense by 3, something. But generally it's a really strong buffing and debuffing medal. So buffs are basically something that will make you stronger, and debuffs are going to make the enemy weaker. So the way stats work in this game, you have let's see if I've got a medal that can show that easier. It's quite difficult to display on here, but what you've got is you've got strength, and then you've got power strength, magic strength and speed strength, and they're all separate. That's the strength taken care of. Then you've got defense and speed defense and magic defense and what's the other one? Let's say power, magic. Yep. So that's what it's referred to as PSM, power, speed and magic. So if you ever see that anywhere, that's what that means. And what you really want to do is have these 2 slots, the first 2 slots, maybe even 3 slots, purely focus on buffs and debuffs within a turn. So a lot of these effects will only work for 1 turn. So what you want to do is you really want to max out your capability of buffing yourself and debuffing the enemy enough to deal more damage with your latter medals, which are going to be the last 2 here, and then the one in your spirit slot. So they're the ones where you want your big damage. So in this setup, for example, I've got Kyrie EX, which increases my upright strength by 2. Before I get any further, the maximum stat boost you can have, or stat debuff you can have in any 1 turn, is 7. So if you've got something that raises your strength by 7, using it again won't raise your strength to 14. It just stays at 7. So it might not be as useful if it's just a single stat boost, but if you've got something like Kyrie, which basically increases upright strength by 2 each time you use her, and strength by 7, you'll get capped at strength plus 7 straight away, and then the second time you use a medal, if you have 2, you'll get a further 2 upright buff, which is a really powerful buff. So what an upright buff is, if you see this gold stuff here, that means it's an upright medal, and the only other version you have is what they call a reverse medal. So you've got like a black-red background here. So upright buffs will only apply to upright medals, and reverse buffs will only apply to reverse medals. But that's not to say that if I use Kyrie, even though the upright buff is useless for any reverse medal going forward in this turn, every other boost here still applies. So by the time you get to sort of HTZ on, she's still she's still dealing a lot of damage because of the boost from Kairi. So there we go. So in my setup, for example, we've got Kairi there, using her, and then using this little bad boy here called KHUX Beginning. Again, really low multiplier, so I don't really care. It's not about attacking. But this medal unleashes the same special attack as the previous medal. So what this means is it basically acts like another Kairi. So you can use it twice. Then here come my attacking medals, because for me I think that's a significant enough buff and debuff for me to go all out attack. So I've got HD Aced, who's one of the foretellers, and really strong medal. As you notice, I've got attack boost 5 in there, and one way you know they're strong is because you've got this attack all feature here, and you've got this multiplier here, so anything generally above 3 is pretty good. 3.5, 4.5 is really good. So that's how you know it's an attacking medal. And also this number 7 signifies it's a tier 7 medal. Now currently there are only 7 tiers in this game. Generally the higher the tier, the higher its capability of doing more damage. And what that means is that even if I have a tier 7 medal and this has no orbs here, it will only deal whatever the damage up here is multiplied by this damage here and some mathematical stuff in the background, but generally it won't do a huge amount of damage. The way to maximize what you get out of the tier of the medal is this number here. So tier 7s can go all the way up to 200%. Tier 6s can only go up to 180%. And tier 5s can go up to 150, I believe. So to maximize the damage you do with a tier 7, you really do have to be at 200% here. But saying that, you can still use this multiplier here, 3.32 to 4.52, to determine whether it's an attacking medal or something that you want to use to deal a lot of damage or not. So that's how you know if it's an attacking medal or a defensive medal. And then up here again, you can put an extra strength and defense or whatever you want on it. So yeah, so that's an attacking medal. Here, if you press down, you've got what they call traits. So these only appear once you merge this medal with another identical version of itself. So if I had 2 of these and I leveled up and I combined the second one, let's pretend this is him, with him, what would happen is it'd try and give me an extra special attack bonus there if I'm not already at 200%, and then it will give me a random trait. And the trait I got with this medal, I got ground enemy defense -60, so it's not bad. What that means is that if I'm attacking an enemy that's on the ground, it has 60% less defense, so that's pretty nice. But saying that, some of the best traits in the game are, for attacking medals anyway, are probably extra attack -40%. So I think it's -40%. I've got some of them here somewhere. Where's my Neku? Bear with me. There you go. So extra attack, 40% power, that's the one. So what that means is when I use a special attack or I use this medal once, it will be at full strength, and then I get another free go, which basically says it's going to use 40% of the power of the medal, which is nice sometimes. And that's especially effective, not so much for an attacking medal, because 40% of its strength is not a large amount, but a buffer. If you can get a buffer medal with an extra attack, you get basically a free buff for not really using a slot. And it is quite hard, so if you're lucky enough to get 2 Kairis, I wouldn't recommend merging them together, because the chance of you getting an extra attack trait is really low. Whereas if you probably have greater benefit of just putting 2 Kairis in a separate slot, so you get to use it twice and you can guarantee it. So I hope that's been clear on the medals and how to merge them and stuff. And one last thing I want to add just before I go is the shop. So if you're fairly new to this game, something I probably should have covered right at the beginning, but we've got these really two nice new banners here. So generally these banners up here, they're expensive. I mean, the 3,000 one, look at that. This one was 3,000, but I pulled from it a couple of times, and it's a what they call a falling price deal, so it lowers its cost each time. But again, it's only worth doing if the medal that comes out of it is something that you really want. And to understand what that is, you need to kind of look at your Keyblade and assess what you need. So I was going for this Ventus upright medal here, and the reason is so that I can fill this green slot over here on the left side with something that's stronger than this. And Ventus is a very I think it was the HD Ventus medal. It's a very strong medal, but I've decided to hold off. I'm going to wait for I think there's a HD Zac medal or an EX Zac or something, which raises upright strength and then lowers upright defense of an enemy as well, of all the enemies that you're fighting, which is probably the first medal of its kind to hit the North American / EU game at this time. So I'm waiting for that to come out, and then I'll be pulling for that. But what you want to do is, when you're setting up your Keyblade, just really quickly, when you set one up, you'll notice you've got all these coloured slots here. So as I said, if you're using them just for buffs, don't worry about the colour or the attribute. It really doesn't matter, because you're not worried about dealing a lot of damage. All you're there to do is to buff up your character or debuff the enemy. So you'd probably stick in a couple buffing medals there, or a copy medal and then a buffing medal. Where's my copy medal? So there. And then at the point that you're ready to deal some damage, that's when you start to worry about the slots. So you think, I need an upright magic medal. So what's my strongest upright magic medal? There we go. 358 over 2 days Coat Riku, so I've got fairly good setup there. Attack boost 4. Drag him to there. And if you look at this, it says here, raises all of this, and then it says, right at the end, inflicts more damage in slot 3. So with some of these medals, just like the foreteller medal I showed earlier, you'll get this range on a damage multiplier instead of a straight solid number. And what that means is, if you fulfill the condition down here, you will get this range, this top end range here. If you don't, if it's not in slot 3, for example, for this medal, I will only ever get the 2.91 multiplier, which isn't that great. So it has to be in slot 3, and here it is. So that's how you get the most power out of that medal. If I was to go to my foreteller medal here, again, 3.32 to 4.52, let's see what the criteria is. Inflicts more damage with one enemy left. So if I was to take on a single enemy, then I would get this 4.52 multiplier. If I was to take on a group of enemies, I would only get 3.32, which is still fairly strong, so I don't mind that. And that's how all the foretellers work. So anyway, that's how you set them up. So let's finish putting stuff in this one. So my strongest upright speed medal at the moment is probably Neku, because he hits all. He's got a special attack bonus of 153. I haven't added a skill on here yet, but in comparison, I've got Lingering Will, for example. He's got a really high damage multiplier, but he hits random targets. So if you're up against a single target, it's quite strong. But if you're not, you can't really guarantee how much damage you're going to do and who you're going to kill and who you're not going to kill. And also, I don't have 6 orbs or 5 orbs plus the special attack bonus with this medal, so it's not going to be as strong. Then I've got HD Final Form Sora, which I do have the bonus for, and he is fairly strong. But it says here it's got a condition that says it does the most damage when it's in slot 5, which would be this 4.6, which means it has to go here, which isn't a bad thing. I could do that, but the reason I don't, and this is quite an important one, is this slot here. The only real medal I've got to put in there that's quite strong is this one, HD Shion. So it unleashes the same special attack as the next medal. So what this in effect is going to do is be another one of these, but because this is in slot 4, by the time it mimics this medal, it will detect that it's in slot 4 and use the lower end of the multiplier, because to get the maximum multiplier, it has to be in slot 5. So for that reason, it sort of it's just not as strong as Metal would be, for example. Well, those are sort of slightly advanced sort of maths that you'll end up picking up as you play the game. But I hope that's been helpful. Just really quickly in the shop then, so the two banners here that I want to quickly go over is the newcomer deal and the top draw deal. Top draw deal. I always get tongue twisted in these videos. So what you want to do, they're fairly cheap. You've got 1,000 price for this one, and what this gives you, if you press details, you get, read them quite carefully, but I've read these a few times, so I can tell you what's what. You're guaranteed to get one of these. Now, what these are is you've got a combination of buffing medals and copy medals. So this illustrated Shion, illustrated Kairi, the illustrated Kairi is the best buffer in the game that I showed you, and the Shion is basically the reverse counterpart to the upright Kairi medal. So there's a chance of getting one of those in this banner. It's quite a low chance, but in addition, this KH02 Kairi it used to be the best buffer in the game, so that's not bad as a consolation prize either. The KH2 Namine, or the HT Namine, I can't remember which one it was. One of them's a copy medal, which is always useful. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. So this Namine here, top right corner, I can't shine my thing there. Top right corner is a copy medal. Bottom left corner is a tier 7 copy medal, I believe. There we go, KH2 Namine. So that's a new copy medal that's just come out, and it's quite good. And then this top left one is it's sort of another buffer medal, but it restores 10 gauges. So they're not bad medals. You guaranteed one of them. So I would recommend pulling from there at least once. And if you press draw odds, it gives you an idea of what you're going to get. An important thing to know is to ignore this stuff here at the top, the stars. The stars don't mean jack, to be frank. It's a kind of marketing tactic employed by Square Enix to say, oh look, wow, we're going to give you oops, don't purchase tools, because that's a rip-off. So when they say, oh look, wow, you're gonna get where is it? There we go. You're guaranteed to receive one tier 6 or above medal. The remaining 2 medals will be of 5-star or higher rarity. That doesn't mean anything, because you can level them up and evolve them to 5 or 6 stars pretty easily. So generally that's just to make you think, wow, you know, I'm gonna get something really good. But it doesn't matter. So the only thing you really care about is the odds down here. So the odds, when you draw a 6-star medal, you're gonna get at least one. I think that's what it said. You're guaranteed one of the following medals. You're guaranteed to receive one tier 6 or above medal. So you probably only get one tier 6, and the remaining ones will be 5-star, not 5 tier. So bear that in mind. Tier is what you're after. The higher tier, the better. So you're guaranteed one tier 6. So looking at this, you're guaranteed at least one of these medals. So look at the probability here in percentages. That's out of 100%. So as you can see, you're kind of going to get just a random medal out of all of those. And the ones that you're hoping for, you probably won't get. But it's worth drawing just because well, these aren't too bad either. The 5-star medals, for example. Let's have a look. We've got Final Form Sora. Actually, no, they're not too great either. So yeah, they're not the greatest, but if I go to the bottom, let's have a look. These are the ones that were specifically mentioned in the banner, so there's a probability of getting those. And as you can see, the bottom 4 are the most likely, and they're not bad medals, so it's worth pulling at least once just to see. If you're really lucky, you'll get one of the top 2. If not, you'll get one of the bottom ones, which if you end up with 0.2 Kairi or any of those really, you'll be in a good spot to begin with. So the newcomer deal, another similar sort of bag, but in this case you're guaranteed the 0.2 carry. So do you remember on the previous one I said that the 0.2 carry was a really good medal, and it was probably one of the best buffers in the game once upon a time, the top middle one there. Well, in this one, you're actually guaranteed it. So I would pull from this as well, at least once. Don't dwell on it too much, but the reason isn't really the Kyrie medal. It's these key art medals here. You're guaranteed to receive at least one of them. Now, they're all copy medals. I've got one of them, some of you might notice now. So what it does, all three of these basically do the same thing. Unleash the same special attack as the previous medal. So any of these will be fantastic for any setup, and because they're only tier 5, I would recommend only using them to copy a buffing medal, because the maximum special attack bonus you can get, let me show you again, is, so you know how it says number 5 here, tier 5. If you were to fill up all of these orbs with like 6 Fantasia Mickey B's, or just combining this medal with 5 more of the same medal, you get a yellow orb for each one. You would only end up with 150% maximum, and you probably won't even end up with that to begin with. You'll have to use magic mirrors to build up to it. But 150% extra special attack bonus, and also the fact that, well, no, that's it, because the multiplier doesn't matter because it's copying the medal previous to it. So if the previous medal has a high multiplier, it will use that in its attack. So if that's confusing, don't worry about it. Bottom line is, anything that's not sort of a tier 6 or tier 7 copy medal, use it to copy a buff instead. So for example, I've given that defense boost 4, and it's copying one of the strongest buffing medals in the game. So whereas this one here is a tier 6 copy medal, but because I can get it up to 180%, which is a stronger multiplier, I've put attack boost 4 on it as well, and it's copying an attacking medal. So that about sums it up. So again, yeah, I'd pull from these two if I just came to the game once each, and see what you get. You'll get at least 1 copy medal. You'll end up with at least, probably 2 good buffing medals. So it's a really good way to get you on the ladder and get you started. And that about does it, I think. So yeah, thank you for watching, and if you need anything else, if there's anything else you want me to tackle in a video, I may do later, but I kind of just wanted to make one follow-up because there were some things that I may have mentioned in my previous video that was slightly inaccurate, because I was only fairly new into the game and I've been playing for a long time now. Not so much recently, but I still log in every day to collect my free rewards and stuff like that, but or just pull from a banner if I see something online that I really want. So yeah, there it is, and happy gaming. And yeah, if you have any questions, as I said, just comment below and I'll try and reply when I can. Bye bye.